Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out, your prehistoric past today, and see if they truly hold up. Today, I'm on the Sound Space hotline with Andrew and Kyle, as always. Hi, guys. How are y'all?
Oh, I am alive. I'm alive, baby.
Good.
My heart's beating. I'm breathing. I can feel and think. So for that, I'm thankful and grateful.
I'm glad you're feeling.
Yeah. Yep. Not in the iron lung. So all is well. Now, Kyle, you may not speak.
Iron lung. Did you have polio?
It's a past life thing. But Kyle, tell us how you're feeling.
If I couldn't feel pain, I wouldn't feel anything at all, except for regret.
Good. At least you are aware.
I'm hyper aware. I'm going to say I'm hyper aware and hyper focused.
Okay.
Days. Cool. I've been doing a lot of kratom.
And that'll get your mind right.
So it does. It gets my mind right. It really helps me prioritize singular tasks. You know, like making sure all the sticky notes that I take off go back where I found them. Taking every shelf out of the refrigerator and then putting it back exactly how I found it. Just stuff like that, like easy stuff.
Where are you getting your kratom these days? Is it the local gas station, the local Shell on the corner? Because you're in Virginia now.
I have a local, there's a local kratom shop down the street from here, actually, and I frequent them all the time. I know them by name. They know me by name as well, so do the police officers, because I've been banned a couple times. But I usually find a way to kind of get people to buy it for me now. And it's interesting because it's definitely not habit forming. Because if it was, the U.S. government would classify it as a Schedule I drug, and they haven't. So I'm just glad I'm doing that instead of things like marijuana or mushrooms or things that are definitely horribly bad for you. I'm really glad that this is something that is good for me.
You need more man-made chemicals in your life. You don't need anything that's naturally grown in the environment.
Yeah. No, I'm getting tired of the naturally grown kind of thing. It's like, how good could it be? All of our ancestors, they all died.
Right.
So it can't be bad. It can't be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
I think you get what I'm saying, Chase.
I get what you're saying, but it sounds like you could use some musical lessons, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, and your honesty is what drives me in my life. And I just want to say that when it comes to music in your life, which everybody could use a little bit more of, you probably suck at making it. So if you want to suck less at making music, we highly recommend here at the Hold Up podcast that you check out Soundspace. It's a private music lesson studio at the Goat Farm Art Center in Atlanta, Georgia. From your first guitar riff, bass groove, ukulele strum, or beginner keyboard melody, they craft each session around what excites you. Not sexually, of course. All of the lessons are $150 a month, weekly for 30-minute sessions. So if you want to suck less at making music, go talk to our friends. If you raise your voice at them one time or drop a pin the wrong way, I will find you and lick you from head to toe in a non-sexual manner. Thank you.
Thanks,
very
Kyle.
much.
Thanks, Kyle.
We want to thank Soundspace for their continued support.
Space is going to love us.
They
love us, man. What a great partnership.
Thanks, guys, over at Soundspace. If you live in the Atlanta area, Kyle said it best, minus some things in there, but you can visit Soundspace in Atlanta, Georgia. They do great work in helping you achieve your music goals. When you go, tell them the Hold Up crew sent you. Kyle, we're just going to keep the light on you right now since we got the best read we've ever gotten from you. So I want you to describe your energy levels today. We're going big time. We're Jurassic Park III today. We'll explain a little bit more about that in a sec. Instead of giving you prehistoric terms, because we covered Jurassic Park II and we asked you about that then, let's kind of give a deeper meaning to this, and you describe your energy levels using paint, tile, and bathroom fixture terms.
Paint, tile, and what was the last one? Paint, tile,
bathroom fixtures, yeah. Like Kirby.
Yeah,
Kirby
paint
and tile plus.
Kirby paint and tile plus. Kirby paint and tile plus. I will say that I don't have too many feelings about tiles or grout, but bathroom fixtures really excites me. And today is one of those days where I feel like with everything going on in the world and all the important things and issues going on, if my world was a house, or let's say a bathroom, I feel like a completely essential item in the bathroom. I'm not talking the sink, I'm not talking the toilet, I'm not talking the plumbing, I'm not talking the shower head, not talking the grout in between that keeps the water from coming out and getting nasty. I'm definitely not talking about the beautiful marble tiles that make you want to go in and just and sit on your porcelain throne if your name is Andrew. I very much am feeling like a sconce today. You know, like
Hmm.
a non-essential wall decor that adds no structural integrity and could be at any time just thrown out into the wind and nobody would know where it's at. Nobody gives a shit.
Hmm.
There you go.
That was very heartfelt, Kyle. Thank you.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
I could feel your mood and emotion through that explanation. So again, blessed and thank you. I got to experience that.
Yeah, no, Christ be with you.
Andrew, does it sound like him and Erica got into a fight about sconces recently over the past week, or where they were going to put them in the home?
Yeah, I think Kyle maybe like ripped one off or like sawed one off because he didn't like the way that it stuck out, and that kind of like really flared the tempers in the apartments. So, I mean, maybe I'm reading into that a little too much, but I know that Kyle is very hands-on. If he wants to do something, he's going to do it without regard of other people. So he might be a little projecting, might be a little bit of projection in his mood explanation there. But hey, I'm not here to judge. I'm really not even here to investigate. I'm just here to listen because that's what friends do.
You know,
So,
you are here to judge. We're talking judging the second sequel, I guess, in the Jurassic Park franchise. The often
Daddy,
overlooked Jurassic Park 3, a big one from our childhood. I'm going to set this one up and say we did Jurassic Park 2, I think, in season 2. If you want to listen to that episode, you can go back and check it out. And we don't really need to dive into what Jurassic Park, the original, meant to all of us and the legendary blockbuster it became, what Steven Spielberg did with that movie. We may talk about Jurassic Park at some point in the future, and we'll get into all that. Today, we're exclusively talking.
We might.
We may. If you pay us money on our Patreon, we'll do it tomorrow. But in the meantime, we're talking about Jurassic Park 3, which came out in 2001. So it is, again, the second Jurassic Park film in our lifetime. Because the first one came out, we were all so young. We were babies, and Andrew was a fetus, right? Andrew, were you even alive when that movie released?
The original?
Yeah, because what was it, 93, 94?
94, I was probably barely 2.
Okay.
So, no. But I was 9 years old when Jurassic Park 3 came out.
Correct. So Jurassic Park 3,
big difference there.
That's why we're covering it, and we're also covering it in honor of Sam Neill. And this is with Sam Neill's return to the Jurassic Park franchise. We lost a good one.
R.I.P.
Yes, we don't need to also go into like too much detail on why Sam Neill's incredible actor. I mean, we may talk a little bit about it as we watch this movie, but that's the reason we picked Jurassic Park 3, everybody. It's one that we went to the theaters and got to see. We were old enough to be cognizant when this one came out. Andrew, I'm going to start with you. I know you were a big fan of the series. Again, we talked about that with The Lost World. What do you remember about Jurassic Park 3?
So I remember we had the trilogy DVD set, and I remember putting it on for the first time and like loving it. Like, I think like low key when I was younger, I told people third was my favorite. Like,
Totally
I
fair.
really enjoyed it. I remember I was in my old living room. It was like a dark, rainy night, probably in the summer. I put it on and just watched it there on our new 42-inch plasma screen. I think it was plasma. LCD, maybe. It was maybe one of the first LCD screens. And we're watching it, and I was kind of enamored. Like, I loved it. I watched that. I probably watched that movie. It was like a comfort watch for me when I was a kid. I don't know, like when I couldn't figure out something to watch, and I wanted to watch a movie but just was indecisive, I would just throw on Jurassic Park 3. Like, okay. I'm pretty sure that when I went to college, I didn't take the trilogy set because we all had like a DVD collection, a game collection we brought with us to our dorms. Yep. I'm pretty sure of the 3, I just took Jurassic Park 3 with me instead of the full trilogy.
Nice.
So yeah, it's one that I remember loving, fondly watching as a kid. So I was really intrigued and excited to give it a go. I probably haven't watched it in about 15, 16 years. So yeah, I was very curious to see how I felt about it on rewatch. So
Nice. Kyle, what about you?
I actually got this movie for my birthday one year, the year that it came out, which was, remind me, Chase, Andrew,
2001.
2002,
2001.
2003?
2001, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember getting this for my birthday, and my birthday was on a weeknight, and my dad gave me the present, and I was like, like, I hadn't seen it yet. And I really wanted to see it, and it came in the really cool VHS sleeve, where it was like the chrome finish on it, like shiny chrome finish, and it had the 3 slash marks in the middle that were kind of like raised. You know what I'm talking about, Andrew?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I could draw it for you right now.
Yes, I could draw.
Exactly. It's in my brain.
And I was like, this is very much something I need to watch now. And I took it out of the VHS sleeve and put it in the VCR. My dad was like, nope, you're going to bed. And I was like, no. Please, it's like a little bit. He was like, no, it's like 8 o'clock. You're not watching that movie. You're going to bed. And I was like, fuck. I had to watch it over the weekend. I was so pissed. But
it's like, why did you give it to me now?
Like, I know, yeah. He was that was my dad. It's like, yeah, it's great. It's a present. Go to sleep. We'll revisit this tomorrow. And I just remember watching that one on repeat. That was one that we would take on vacation. We had like a little portable TV we would take, so my parents used to shut the fuck up in the car for like 12-hour drives, and it would be that the Star Wars trilogy, Shrek, Rush Hour, and there was 1 or 2 other ones that I can't remember off the top of my head that we would just have in there, and it got played a bunch. It's one of the better Jurassic Parks. And like, if we're just talking about the original trilogy, they're all pretty good movies. As much as people hate the second one, and we've talked about that, but like, it's a pretty fucking good movie. They explore a lot, and like, I think out of all of the movies, that one's special effects hold up the best so far, I would say. Now, we haven't done the original yet, but like, just watching it as a kid was pretty frightening, but really cool also. Like, really cool. Like, Dr. Alan Grant back again, and he knows everything that's going on, even though he doesn't know the actual dinosaurs, and the whole family dynamic with the kid. And the movie starts off dark too, and I was not ready for that as a kid. I was like, oh fuck, that's really sad. Like, oh, that wasn't his real dad though. Okay, it's fine. He doesn't give a shit. That doesn't matter. But like it was no, it was his
family friend, right?
Yeah, family. Yeah, my mom's boyfriend. But that's what I remember about it. I got it for Christmas, or for my birthday, which is near Christmas, and I watched it a lot over Christmas break and was very enamored, like Andrew said, by this movie, and just the adventure aspect of it, but the danger too is very well shot. And the dinosaur, like, some of the best dinosaur scare factor moments and twists were in this one. It was really, really well done.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys brought all that up, because I was prepared to make a speech, when I guess I won't have to do it anymore, about how growing up, this was my favorite Jurassic Park. And Kyle, you and I were cognizant enough, because we were about 10, 11 years old when this came out and then came to VHS. And this was one of the last VHSs we had. And yep. Kyle, I remember that VHS, it was very metallic looking sleeve with the 3 marks. And I think it came with a dust cover over it that made the marks like holographic or something. And the same thing with the Lost World.
Yeah.
The Lost World VHS had the same effect, where it showed the T-Rex coming through. Fuck, man, media used to be so cool. And they used to, that DVD cover art and VHS arts were incredible back in the day, and what they put over them. But I remember loving this film, and I got to go see it in theaters too. So I remember seeing The Lost World in theaters, but I was kind of young, so I don't remember. I remember vaguely going to theaters and seeing it. And, of course, with The Lost World, I was young enough. I had all the toys and stuff with it. And I know Jurassic Park 3 had tons of toys and stuff, but I was kind of past that age. But it was like late July that this came out, and I went the week after it came out or something like that. And I remember school was about to start back, and my mom was like, you can invite anybody you want to go see this movie. And so one of my friends went with me, and his mom. And so it was like my mom, my dad, us two, and his mom seeing this film. like I said, I was cognizant enough at 10, 11 years old to know that everyone around me hated this movie the same way that they hated 2, and I didn't understand it. I was like, I loved this movie as a kid. I watched the shit out of this. But I watched every Jurassic Park all the time. We only had, I don't recall us having the original on VHS, but we had the other 2, and I would catch the original on like TNT or something. It would come on every now and again, and I would watch it. And then I would go and watch Lost World, and then I go watch 3, and I just kept watching them and watching them and watching them. It was just like on repeat for me for a very long time. And I remember being so excited that Alan Grant was back in this. I thought that was so cool. Like, I thought he was the coolest. Malcolm was cool, but he's not cool to a kid. You know, Alan Grant is cool to a kid, you know?
Alan Grant's legendary.
Yeah.
That hat, just his persona in general, you can't beat him.
Yeah.
You can't.
And
I'm with you on that.
And then, so, like, as a kid, I was like, damn, he's back. I got to go see this and whatnot. And I think I drugged my parents to see it twice, but I can't remember what I saw multiple times in theaters when I can. I do remember Godzilla multiple times. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But, yeah, this was big. And, I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. Like, I've seen them all. Like, and this was one that I remembered, so I never watched it as an adult because I just remember everything that happens. And now it's interesting going back and actually sitting down and watching it, especially now that we have this show, and we'll find out about our thoughts on it. But, Andrew, I don't even really need to ask this question this week, do I? But did this make money? I think I already know.
Yeah, it absolutely did. I had a budget of $93 million, or $95 million.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's very low.
I thought it was healthy.
They filmed it. They filmed it in Hawaii, and then they all this stuff is practical, which we'll get into the practical effects. You know.
No, it was $93 million, but worldwide grossed altogether almost $370 million, $368 and some change. So yeah, it made close to $200 million, and then of course the royalties and other things on top of it. This is a big DVD seller, VHS probably 2. There were probably toys. So yeah, it made money. It made money. It wasn't. I didn't rake in as much as the original, or maybe even the Lost World, but it was still a success.
I was going to say that seemed very low to what I was expecting it to make. You know, I was expecting it to be at $500 million at least.
Well, now, Chase, right? You mentioned something that's interesting to me, because when I would tell people that this was like my favorite back in the day, they would like scoff at me. We're like, why? This one sucks. So maybe there was just this, like, I don't know, like latent sense of people knew this was just going to be a cash grab and like predestined it in their mind that they weren't going to like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't exactly know where the reaction came.
The story is actually it's a good story, and like most of it makes sense. There's 1 or 2 points I'm like, no, that's bullshit.
There are some things that I don't want to get into. There's some things, I just got to say, there's some things in the plot, but I'm just like, well,
how did that happen?
Hold up a minute. So, yeah, but I don't want to get down this path too soon because I don't want to give away our true feelings just yet.
You both bring up a great point, because did you guys know that they started shooting this movie without a finished script? And that was one of the things that, like, now as watching as an adult, which we'll get into, I started seeing more of. So Sam Neill in an interview even said that every day they would be handed like 30 new pages of script that they did not know was there. So they only knew how they were actually going to start this. The ending was written on set. That's how crazy that is.
Wow.
No plan at all for this.
How did that even work? The ending, like the ending?
Yeah, the ending here.
Like on the beach?
Yes. That got written in.
How? How would they be able to get like those are okay. We're gonna just remind me to talk about this when we get there. I don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
Those are military vehicles.
This makes sense to me.
Yes.
This makes sense to me now that you say this, Chase. I don't want to give anything away, but some of it makes sense. All right, cool.
But how did they get those fucking Marines on the beach? How did they do that last minute?
They called up the U.S. Embassy, Kyle. They called up the U.S. Embassy, and the embassy actually answered.
A couple of little other side notes, too, that I want to push out there before we start talking to the blow-by-blow. Obviously, Steven Spielberg didn't direct. This is the first movie Steven Spielberg didn't direct in the Jurassic Park series, which there's only 3 of them. So Joe Johnson directed this, and we all...
Well, there's Jurassic World now, Chase. There's 2 more, so maybe...
So there's a lot more than 2.
At this point, we don't even need to get in the Jurassic World series.
I'm kidding. We don't have to discuss that.
Huge pile of shit that Malcolm says. Joe Johnson directed this, and he's been on the show before with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Same director there.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
And he also did Jumanji, which is something we should probably do on this show at some point. So he directed...
Have we not done Jumanji?
We have not done Jumanji yet, which is a crime to humanity. But
that's weird. No, Chase, didn't we watch Jumanji together somewhere
Flubber.
in recent years?
We watched Flubber together. That was our pilot, and we'd never watched Jumanji, but we did watch the other Robin Williams.
I have watched Jumanji sometime in the past 2-3 years. It's vivid. I'm pretty sure you were there with me, but
were we drunk?
I swear, no, actually, I know we watched Flubber, but I'm pretty sure when we were in Asheville, we watched both. I think one night we watched Flubber, and then the following night, to cleanse our palates or to see if we needed a palate cleanse, we watched Jumanji. I'm almost positive that's how
fair.
It worked, but
I don't remember any of that.
You weren't there, bitch. So
anyway,
we're trying to butt in.
We should do a Robin Williams back-to-back weeks. Let's table that one for later. But in the meantime, Sam Neill almost didn't return for this film. They really were hinging their bets on him because Jeff Goldblum was pretty much done. Because, like, Andrew, you bring up a good point that people scoffed because people did not like The Lost World. It's mixed to low reviews. So there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare with Jurassic Park coming into this one. And it's crazy for people to think about nowadays with what Jurassic World's become and the whole franchise is this big thing. But a lot of people thought it should have just stuck with the original and that's it, and people making sequels, and they weren't, the best sequels ever, because Lost World was supposed to be what James Cameron did with Alien. And they never kind of got that. So now they're kind of going back to 3. And I remember an interview I was watching on TV as a kid, not really knowing film that well, that Joe Johnston was talking about. He wanted to bring the horror back to Jurassic Park. He felt like that was a problem in the second one, is they deviated too much from it, which the original... A lot of people argue with me, but there's a lot of horror content in Jurassic Park. Is you're running away from dinosaurs that are killing everyone, that's pretty horrific.
Yes.
And I think action adventure can exist with horror in the same movie. And he goes in with this idea to do that. But that's all I got really for fun facts there. Sam Neill decided he really wanted to do Alan Grant again and kind of like the direction that the movie was going. So he signed on, probably saving the movie, if we're really honest. But let's get started. Let's just do the blow by blow before we spoil anything else from anybody. So I'm going to take the liberties this week, and I'm going to start us off because I don't think I've ever started off the blow by blow. So first time ever. This movie starts with one of the islands. Andrew, maybe correct me on which island that they're circling.
Sorna, right?
Yeah, something like that. It opens with a kid and an adult male, who we'll learn is not his father or uncle later on, parasailing off one of the Jurassic Park islands. Is there 3 islands or 5 islands? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think there's 3. It's Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna is what they are.
And Nublar is what the first film is based off of.
The first, yes.
So,
but this is Site B, if we're being technical.
Yes.
It's the other one.
And a lot of people forget that there are different islands that they manufacture dinosaurs on. So they're traveling, they're parasailing, and this island is shut off. It's illegal to fly over. It's illegal to land on the island. Like the Costa Rican government has really protected the world from this island. They know what dangers exist there. So it is off limits. So this parasailing company, and you see it on the parasail. It's like Dinosaur Lookout or View or something like that. You get a brief glimpse of it. They have enough of a permit to get super close to the island and let you parasail on the side of it so you can possibly see dinosaurs. They're not finding anything.
Which, how could that have been a good idea?
It's a horrible idea. And there's
That's a terrible idea.
There's no way. If the Costa Rican government has shut this fucking island off, there's no way that they're just going to let a tourist boat company come in and do that. But anyway,
did they disbelief? You have to.
But did they say anything? Did they say anything about a permit?
No.
In the dialogue?
No. They
of course not.
They literally are. It just opens with them sailing through, and he's like, "You see anything?" He's like, "Not yet." And they're just looking around. This fog shows up out of nowhere. They're on the ocean. So there's just this little patchy fog on the ocean level. And so as they're looking down from the parasail, this kid and this guy, they see the fog, and then they feel the rope just pull a little bit. And then the fog clears. And all we see is, Andrew, I think you said it earlier off mic that it was like vaporized blood.
I mean, their bodies
are gone.
Literally just gone. It's just blood, and if you zoomed in, you could see some organs and other things, but they were just mutilated.
Yeah, they were.
You can see giant. You can see giant slash marks in the boat. It looks like you're like, what the fuck did that? And they did a good job of only showing glimpses of the main bad dinosaur in this one. Which no animal is bad. It's just they're a predator.
Yeah, it's a predator.
Yeah, main predator.
So the fog clears instantly. So it comes and goes really quick, and their rope just jostles a little bit. And I'm like, bullshit. There was like an awning on the boat, and the awning is just completely ripped apart, and it has metal in it. So they wouldn't just jostle a little bit if something that size came through and killed everyone on the boat. But still suspending disbelief here. The boat is careening away, so I'm assuming someone's arm got ripped off, kind of like in 2, and it's on the pedal, which, again... We're fighting here. So the boat is like speeding up and heading towards these rocks, and the adult male's like, "Oh, no, oh God, we gotta do something." So he starts to cut the line to the parasail, and so that they can avoid the crash. Which, Andrew, Kyle, let's talk about this scene a little bit, and we're gonna breeze through the rest of it. But this scene just bothered me a little bit. Wouldn't it be better to just let the boat crash into the rocks the way that it did, and then that way you can kind of ride the rope down and use the radio on the boat to radio for help instead of cutting the line and just flying randomly into an island of dinosaurs?
I don't know. I don't know if I...
with that runaway boat, you don't know what's going to happen to it, and it'd probably be better to be freed from it, because there's a chance it could hit the rocks and it could catch fire. There's a chance it could hit the rocks and just skate off, and then capsize at that point. And at that point, you'd really need to what's the word I'm looking for? At that point, you'd really need to let yourself be free from that tether. So I guess. If you wanted to risk it, sure, but I could see a scenario, obviously, in which you'd want to unclamp yourself and parasail off away from it. But I don't know. You can make an argument.
I think either one of those is going to be not a good choice, because that's assuming that if you unclipped, if you tried to climb down, you'd have to unclip off of the parachute, or figure out a way to do it off your harness and then shimmy down, which is essentially just like a straight drop down.
Yeah.
So you'd have to get lucky with the angle. So I'm like, and then the other alternative is off into an unknown world. At least, I don't know, maybe there's somebody there. Maybe there's a guard there. I don't know. But either way,
I was just thinking
it's
about
a shitty situation.
Yeah, it's a shitty situation. I was thinking about the boat has an emergency radio in it, right? So even if you let it crash and you somehow are able to, even it parasailing close by, right? Because you can control a parasail, which we'll find out later on in this movie. At least get it close enough to the boat to where maybe you can swim to that boat. It would be really hard because it looked like it was really rough waters, but get close enough to the boat to where you can give yourself a fighting chance to use that radio. Because the island's abandoned. You're fucked. I know you could probably live off the island or whatever, but you're not giving you a chance to be rescued. And I think that would be the best chance to be rescued. But anyway, they're on the island now. And next, what happens next, Andrew? So we've got these two people just wandering off on this island.
Next, we cut to our dear friend, Dr. Alan Grant, correct?
And Ellie. We get to see Ellie, too.
Yeah. They're back home at Ellie's house. They're catching up. I believe Grant was introduced to her husband. He gets to meet the kids. It was a nice ode to the original, letting the audience back in to those two lovable characters and giving us a little present there. I think we fast forward a bit. We learned that Dr. Grant is trying to give lectures about raptor intelligence across the country in hopes to secure funding, but people don't really seem to be that interested. All they want to do is ask him questions about Jurassic Park.
There's that one guy was like, he's like, isn't all this conjecture rather moot? And he's like, yeah. I mean, damn. Like, okay, cool.
You're shitting on my life's work here, pal. Yeah. But all right. If you want me to talk about Jurassic Park and the horrors that I endured, I guess I'll entertain you. But
I don't understand why he wouldn't be able, a man of that stature who wrote a book, who was that popular in that field, I don't understand why he wouldn't be able to procure funding for this. And like, I think even people that were mesmerized by his tales on Jurassic Park, he could probably use that to raise money. I mean, people raise money for a lot less.
Chase, I know why his character wasn't raising money. It was a practical plot device to move us forward.
Oh my God, Andrew! Andrew, you're brilliant. Damn.
Yeah. I know. It was something that I thought long and hard about after I watched the other night. So. Yeah, really toyed with that notion and that idea, but that's the revelation I've come to. But anyways, moving along to get to that plot point, we see that Dr. Grant is up in Montana, I believe, at some excavation sites. Is that correct? Did I get that right? I'm not lying, right? They're in Montana. I'm assuming it's a wrap fossil, like a completely fossilized skeleton that they're excavating. Him and his partner Billy Brennan. We get introduced to him. Yeah, and they go. I remember this. This was funny. I'm sure you all laugh at this too. But like after they do a little like bristling and brushing, they go back into one of the research tents, and Billy shows Dr. Grant what I believe is like maybe the first 3D printer in the world. Did you make that connection? Like, was 3D printing even a thing back then?
That's what I was going to bring up. This is like they have a 3D printing machine that's able to do this. I was like, and you weren't able to get funding? You should have been able to run away with funding in 2001 with a 3D.
It's not a 3D printer. It is something it's shaped. It's like a sculpt or like a lathe or like some kind of like something that turns wood like on symmetrical side, but like also in like an oblong like way or like rounded edges. I don't think it's like an actual 3D printer. Sorry.
Right. Where'd you get that from? What
he did say 3D printing. Like Billy says point blank it is 3D printing, but I do think it is like kind of like I do think it's like a mesh of 3D printing and what Kyle's talking about. But again, like it wasn't around then. So that, like I said, it's just like this should have been something that you should have gotten funding. Like there's no way.
Yes.
So he 3D prints a raptor vocal node or something, and he's able to make the sound of a raptor, which is going to come back later.
Yeah. Whatever. That's kind of, I'm going to call bullshit on that, but hey, cool that they can make that device.
Yeah, for sure. Especially considering the raptors in these movies aren't actually like velociraptors. So it even goes further, but we're not gonna nerdgasm all over this podcast because I know Kyle is chomping at the bit to say something about like these dinosaurs. So
I'm sure.
we're gonna give you plenty of room for that in just a sec. As they're kind of like talking about this, Alan Grant looks at Billy, which is his student, and says, don't worry about it. We don't have any funding. We're done. And right at that point, we get Sir William H. Macy walking into the frame. I always love seeing William H. Macy. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yes, he makes his presence on screen makes me happy. He's
so
likable.
I will say I don't think he does bad in this movie, but I do think this is one of his bottom tier performances, and I don't necessarily think that's his fault. I think that's the way his character is written. That's just me.
I think he's fine. I think it's a fairly flat character.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm giving him the leash on, like, I don't think it's necessarily his fault. I think it's just the way the character, and of course, like, remember what I said at the beginning, the script is being written as it's being shot. So a lot of his character comes out as weird, and I don't.
He's a less emotional Jerry Smith. Jerry Smith being from Rick and Morty.
Kind of like a
less emotional
loser.
Yeah. He's just more of a dork and kind of plain. So I don't hold it against William H. Macy at all. I won't do that.
He comes in and he wants to talk to Alan Grant, and Alan's like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk to you. He's like, well, I can fund your entire dig. I can do this. And he's like, okay, all right, I'll listen. So they go to dinner, and this is moving pretty quick. And they go to dinner, and he's talking to he finds out his name is Kirby, Mr. Kirby, and his wife are there, and they're telling him that there's this rich-ass couple that goes and hikes K2. They do all these adventurous things, and they want to see Isla Sorna. And he's like, no, why would you want to do that? He's like, oh, well, I've got permission from the Costa Rican government because I'm high up. I'm a big billionaire is how he makes himself seem. And in my industry, I've met a lot of people, and the Costa Rican government has approved me to fly lower than anyone else, so I can actually see things. And Alan's like, no way will you get me anywhere close to that island. And he pulls out a check, and I want to make mention of this because this is a shout-out to my mother. He pulls out a check, and he looks at Alan Grant, and he says, I can put any number on this check that you want. And my mom whispered in the theater to my dad, and I heard her, and she says, well, hell, I could put a lot of numbers on a check too. It doesn't mean it's going to cash. And I remember my mom pretty much spoiling Jurassic Park 3 for me instantly, because I started thinking about that in my little pea brain mind as a kid. I was like, yeah, wait a minute, I could write numbers on a check, and it doesn't mean it's good. And that's all it takes. And next thing you know, we've gotten 3 mercenaries joining them on this trip. 3 mercenaries. One happens to be a pilot. Alan Grant, Mr. Kirby, his wife, and Billy gets to go with them. And we're on the way to the island, right, Andrew? Like, we're just moving right along.
Yeah. We're in the fucking plane.
But did you notice that with a check as a kid, though? Either one of you? Did either one of you think that was weird? Or did you just accept it as a child because we didn't think about those things?
I accepted it as a child, and honestly, when I rewatched it last night, I didn't think much on it until later because I had kind of forgotten about that little plot point about, well, we'll get to it in a second, but I was fooled. I was fooled by it again. But you could easily, if you really thought about it, if you really remained quizzical and pessimistic, I think it would be pretty obvious. So.
Yeah, and here's another qualm that kind of brought up to me as an adult is he's automatically on that plane, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you cash the check or something or get something out of it before, like a deposit or something, before you even flew on that? Don't you start with your plot device thing. I don't want to hear it anymore.
I was going to say, let's wait till we get to that.
I'm pointing it out in the moment, though. Kyle, if I was taking you on this dangerous journey and promising you untold amount of money. Wouldn't you want to get some money up front?
Fucking cash that shit immediately.
Or just
I would be like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
I'd probably have a little bit more sense to just make sure that, like, not to just take them on their word, because another person with a lot of money promised him something to get on a plane and or a helicopter and go to an island, and look what happened that time. So I'm like, shame on you at that point.
Yeah, I'm like, I would have, like, there's no way I'm getting on that plane without seeing if that money cashes. Because even, like I said, my mother in the theater had the wherewithal to be like, I'm cashing that check, because you're not leaving the next day. They're flying out several days later. You have plenty of time to run to the bank and cash that check, or at least see how much money is in that account. And he would have known at that point. But again, Andrew, we're not trying to get ahead of it. So Kyle, they're on the plane. What did you think of the raptor dream sequence? I got to know from you, and then Andrew, I'm going to ask you next.
It was just, it doesn't need to be in the movie, in my opinion. I would just have him dream about, like, what would be more effective would be, like, him, like, seeing flashes or glimpses of it or after, like, you know, finding something nefarious on the ground, or like a blood stain, and then hearing something run behind him, and it's just a streak like in the other part of the movie. I think that would be much better than it showing up and talking like a fucking person, but whatever.
It's blatant foreshadowing. I definitely think it was forced in many ways, but, you know, whatever. It's foreshadowing. Not to ruin or spoil anything. It's blatant foreshadowing.
So what it is just like Alan Grant's sitting on the plane. He takes a nap, and he dreams that the person next to him is now a velociraptor, and he goes, Alan, and he wakes up. So the velociraptor says his name because they foreshadow, like Andrew says, he's got nightmares of the raptors. It's all the trauma from the first movie that's carried over into his life, and we understand why. If you've seen the first film, you know why he doesn't want to be there or do any of this. That's why I would have cashed that check. So they're in the air, and he's pointing out dinosaurs for them to see, right, Andrew? Like, he's trying to, he's basically doing what he was paid for. He's becoming a tour guide. He says, if you look out to the left side of the plane, you'll see this and this. If you look out the right side of the plane. And the Kirby's are not having it. And Andrew,
they're not paying attention.
Right. They're talking over him, and they're talking about doing something else. What are they talking about doing, Andrew?
Finding someone, correct? They're trying to
try to land,
trying to land the plane, even though it is forbidden to land on the island because of executive orders by the Panamanian government, or Costa Rican government, excuse me. Yeah, and at this point, Grant's like, wait a second, was I swindled? This is when he's like, what did I get myself into? Oh, what do I do?
Like, land.
Yeah.
He's like, land? You can't land there.
Yeah.
No. He's like, you don't turn. No. He's like, you can't land. And then that's when somebody, he turns around and he gets his fucking lights punched.
Right. I think he got hit in the back of the head with a gun or something. I don't know. Because like I said, they have these three mercenaries on the plane.
They have the two pilots, and then they kind of have like the Secret Service bodyguard type, who's the one who knocks Dr. Grant unconscious. And I think when he comes to, they've already landed, correct? And then this is when truths get brought out, and he figures out that he was swindled and lied to.
He finds out early on that they're looking for somebody, and the wife has a bullhorn that she's just yelling the word Ben and Eric.
Eric.
Yeah, she's yelling these two names as loud as possible through a bullhorn. And Grant's like, please stop doing that. Please stop yelling into this dinosaur-infested jungle. And she just, being an idiot that she is, does not stop. And what do we hear next, Kyle?
We hear somebody run out of the forest, and they're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. We got to go. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? He's like, we got to go. Get in the plane. Go. And they're all getting in and he's like, where's Cooper? And they all get in the plane. They're getting. He's like, where's Cooper? And you see this guy, like, as they're starting the plane about to take off, this guy runs out and he's got blood, because we didn't say when they get out of the plane, they have like a whole arsenal with them. They've got giant 50 caliber rifles, so you get like a couple semi-automatic weapons with like high power rounds and shit, and like they're like decked out. And these guys fucking take that shit. They go right into the jungle, and not even 2 or 3 minutes later, they're like, "Oh fuck that! Nope, we're done." And they turn and fuck around to get out of there. And we missed that part. But then this guy comes out of the jungle, his arms dangling by his side, and he's all bloody, and he doesn't have his gun. He's kind of like sobbing. He's like, "Please, please stop, please stop." And they're like, "We can't stop. You know I can't stop. You know I can't stop." And he's like,
what a bold strategy to try to stop a runaway plane.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. And he like pulls up at the last second, and or he's about to pull up at the last second, but then all of a sudden a giant like crocodilian snout, looking snout, like comes out of the woods. Yep, Spinosaurus comes out, and it's got long, strong fucking arms like Andrew likes on his men, and it's like, yes, he does, and giant, massive claws, and it almost has like a human kind of like reach to it. It's very scary, and this guy just gets fucking chomped on, just midsection, just chomped, and immediately he just goes limp, and the plane has to pull up, but the Spinosaurus rears its head, and the propeller clips the Spinosaurus's neck, and it like whimpers real quick, but the plane like is fucked up, so it goes right into the jungle, and they come to a stop in the tree canopy. And this is where shit gets really weird.
I just want to say that if that were any other plane, it would have imploded and they would have all died.
Probably.
It just would have. Yeah. It just would have. The fact that it didn't catch fire or do anything except eventually get cut in half, and they all magically survived. I mean, there's another little scenario where you're like, yeah, that's some bullshit. I'm gonna call that out. But when I watched it, I was like, there's no way. There's just no way it wouldn't have caught fire, exploded. There's no way that I wouldn't say there's no way, but like the chances of all of them surviving that are so slim. Just got to suspend reality for a second. Let it be. Let it go.
I think of those times when people get stuck in the Amazon, like in a plane crash or helicopter crash, and there's survivors and they somehow make their way out or don't. But I feel like I agree with that, Andrew. I do think that like there is a semblance of realism that's happening in there potentially. Like they're not like going like they're going fast enough to take off and generate lift, which is probably pretty fast. But also, if the engine's failing, it's going to slow down, and that's why it's dropping out of the sky. Maybe the plane miraculously is intact, like Andrew said. But I agree with Andrew, though, that like there's no way that people wouldn't have been killed. Yeah. There's zero chance. The pilots would have been dead. There's no way.
If the characters had recognized, like, after the moments when they were landed in that tree, or if they were like, holy shit, how did we survive that? Like, what the fuck? How did we survive that? I would have been like, okay, cool. I'm actually on board now. But because it just happened and they went on with the next phase as if nothing had happened, it just, again, just a little bit of, and by a little bit, a good amount of BS there. But hey, we're going to move on. God, and then this, you said it. This is when shit starts to really hit the fan, correct? Like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Isn't there like another a T-Rex that shows up here shortly?
The Spinosaurus shows up.
Yes.
The one that they hit with the plane.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of a continuation of the same scene. And they landed further away from the Spinosaurus, but it still gets there pretty quickly. This is the new predator for this movie. The T-Rex was the alpha in the first two films, and I want to talk about the Spinosaurus here because it was all over the marketing. And you both can kind of speak to that if you remember the Spinosaurus as a kid. But I remember being like, holy shit, that's really cool. It's bigger than a T-Rex. Like, and not knowing in my mind, thinking, is this a real thing? Because, like, the first Jurassic Park, other than the Velociraptors, is pretty much predicated on kind of realism. And even the Velociraptors, we all bought it for a very long time. But I didn't a lot. But Kyle, is the Spinosaurus a real dinosaur? It is. Is it to that size and that length?
Spinosaurus aegypticus. I don't know if it's that. They're large, but I don't know if they would have moved the way that they say it moves in Jurassic Park. They had it like as a bipedal, but I don't know. It might have been like a quadruped, or I mean, I know it's a sauropod, but like it looks like it might have used its arms to like run a little bit, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. Like, oof.
Yeah. And for me, it's like as a kid, it was cool, and it's kind of cool now. We get a glimpse of the animatronic that they used for the Spinosaurus. It was one of the biggest animatronics ever created for
It's
a set,
impressive.
and it looks great. It still looks great for using a lot of practical effects here. I'll go ahead and say that. And the Spinosaurus looks terrifying. It's huge. It's bigger than a T-Rex. It's got longer arms. That's kind of, you've seen it if all over the place, but because it's been in other
Hmm.
Jurassic World films. But they're trapped in the tree, they're in the plane, and you guys said it best. Just all hell breaks loose. The Spinosaurus is attacking the plane, rolling it. It's flying to the ground across the other treetops. They're rolling around in it, and I think during this whole process, the main pilot gets eaten. Right? He flies out of the backside of the plane,
Yeah,
and the Spinosaurus grabs him.
yeah.
Hmm.
So we got another
Did
loss
he
of
have?
life.
What did he have? What did he have on him?
Oh, the satellite
Remember, he got
phone.
eaten with something.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
satellite phone. Yeah, that's a good call because it's a big plot point there. Is he had the satellite phones for them to call for help if they needed it, and the Spinosaurus eats him and the satellite phone. And then there's one point in time where they're running away. They get off the treetops and they're running away, and they think that they've cleared it, and then they pull back this tall grass and they see a dead
Hmm.
animal, which Alan Grant's like,
Yep.
"Don't worry, it's dead." And then a T-Rex raises its head, and it's like, "Oh shit."
That's what
Hmm.
it was. Yep,
um,
yep. That's what I was thinking of.
and then so they start running, and as they're running,
Oh,
this
what does he say though? No. The dinosaur, the T Rex comes up. And he goes, "It'll be fine if nobody moves," or something. Like roars, and they just fucking run. And he's like, "Well, fuck."
yeah, and so now they're running from the T-Rex, and the T-Rex ends up getting a showdown with the Spinosaurus, and this is a very controversial scene as we break it down. So the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex square off, and they kind of get caught in the middle of the fight. And at one point, after like a little bit, the Spinosaurus is able to take the T-Rex down and snap its neck, which is just absolutely hardcore. A great,
Brutal.
brutal, great point in this movie. And I want to ask you both this. A lot of people hated that because the T-Rex was the established predator in the first two films, and they didn't like the fact that the Spinosaurus killed it so easily in this film. How do you guys feel about it? Andrew, starting
Yeah.
with you.
I'm not bothered because the Spinosaurus was bigger than a T Rex and it was a real dinosaur and it's a new adventure, a new foray into something that is a little bit different from the previous movies. I didn't mind it. I thought the Spinosaurus was scary. And it's like, holy shit, we thought T Rexes were bad. Just wait till you get a load of this one. I don't know. I think it's cool that there are multiple apex predators in that world. I have no issue with it. And again, I think people are just kind of clinging on to what was pure and what was new to them in the original movie, and it bothered their expectations or perceived notions, if you will. So I had no problem with it. And yeah, I think the Spinosaurus is fucking awesome. But that's just me.
I'm with you, Andrew. Kyle, what did you think of that little scene? Like I said, it's controversial. A lot of Jurassic Park fans don't like it.
So I think if you don't like it, I don't know if you know the point of the movie. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just like that's not the T Rex is not the point of the movie. It's the point of they're on a new island, and there's stuff on here that they know and stuff that they don't know, which they allude to, and that's kind of a scary thought to think about. Like, well, what the fuck else were they doing over here? Because clearly they're doing other things. And if this is a dinosaur that they wouldn't let in the original park, there's probably a reason why. And it becomes very clear that this is a bigger animal than T Rex. I think they say it's like it was like close to like 52 feet long from tip to tail, which is nuts
Yeah.
to think about.
Yeah. Thing to think about. Terrifying.
But like the only thing where it's a little bit off potentially is they more recent like fossils I think are more indicative of them having shorter hind limbs. not like longer bipedal limbs, which would mean that it would have been mainly more in water. But I don't know. Like I feel like they find one fossil and they're like, it's this, and they find another one, it's like, oh, it's that. Like you're talking about like they lived like about like for about actually I don't know how long they lived, but like let's say they lived 15 million years as a species. I mean, what kind of evolution is going to happen in 15 million years? That's a long fucking time to be on like the Earth. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I feel maybe at one time there was one that was like this, and that's the fossils they got access to. But like at the end of the day, this thing isn't even a real dinosaur, and that's the other thing that's scary too. That the new movies don't hit on. That this movie hits on is like, what else were they doing? Should they have done it? And this is what you get: a brand new fucking nightmare machine that's like gonna just absolutely tooth you
Yeah,
to death.
that's a good point. And I agree with both of you. I had the T-Rex is not the point of the movie, and especially if you are genetically altering these things. I know I even talked about it a little bit, but they explain the raptors as being like there's points missing in the DNA code. We had to put it in with something. This is not historically accurate. We were just able to manufacture the closest thing to a raptor in a cloning process that we were able to muster. All these mutated dinosaurs, it's not out of the realm of possibility if this was a thing, which it's not. But if you can adjust your mind to think cloning is possible and they're filling in the DNA code, of course anything's possible. But moving along, snaps the neck of the T-Rex, and then they do a kind of a nice little match cut of the sound of the T-Rex neck snapping into the sound of Alan Grant punching Mr. Kirby in the face. And then we get the confrontation where it's revealed that he is a owner of a bathroom fixture place in a mall in Oklahoma. So
in Oklahoma or something like that, probably outside like Oklahoma City. But Dr. Alan Grant was fucking swindled.
Yes. Well, and then
big time.
And I think honestly, this kind of, and I know that we talked about the plot being written as they go. It makes Alan Grant look like an idiot, and it makes all these people that go with him on this journey idiots. Like, because he has 3 mercenaries, including one of the mercenaries is Airbud's original dad, the clown.
Hey, put some respect on Peter, or is it Peter Jackson? Peter Jeters, excuse me. Put some respect on his name. He was actually, I just want to take a moment. He was actually like a super talented actor.
Yeah, he was
like incredibly talented. Michael Jeter, excuse
me.
Michael Jeter.
He was, and I just always like to reference him as Airbud's dad.
Of course. But no, he died really young. Like he died like right at the age of 50. This is a guy that won 2 Tonys and I think an Olivier Award for being in Broadway shows. So like he was truly like a classically trained actor who could sing, who could dance, and then who could act as well. But yes, Airbud's dad is what we're.
So we got Airbud's dad, and we've got the Kirbys, Alan Grant, and Billy are the ones left standing. And he looks at Billy and says, "Okay, go to the plane. We got to salvage what we get. We're heading for the coast because maybe we can catch a plane." And I think Sam Neill is great in this movie. He saves a lot of these scenes where I'm questioning everything and being like, this is kind of dumb. And his acting just really brings you in. And especially he kind of delivers this cold monologue. I don't even know if you call it a monologue, but the Kirbys are talking to him and they're like, well, we got to search for our son. I know he's still alive out there. And he's like, he's been missing for 8 weeks. He would be dead. I'm sorry, guys. But they were like, he's been missing for 8.
How old is this kid? Like
10
years old?
He was like me and maybe? Kyle's age at the time of this movie.
10 to 12.
Yeah, this 10 to 12-year-old who's been on this island for 8 weeks, full of dinosaurs and predators. Yeah, he's probably dead. And so Alan Grant's like, you can either join us or not. Either way, and he says this, you're probably not leaving this island alive. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I just remember that sticking out to me as a kid because it was just delivered so perfectly, and I still think it was at this point, too. So they start heading for the coast, and what do we get next, Andrew, as they start to kind of try to find a way to survive this island?
Don't they stumble upon a raptor nest? Is that where we are now? No, wait. No. No, yeah, raptor nest, right? Isn't that where we're
They
at?
find the raptor eggs, right?
Yeah, the raptor nest. There's probably like 6 nests, each with like 8 to 12 eggs in each of them. So again, foreshadowing here, we knew that this was coming. We knew there was going to be some encounter with raptors, but yeah, the raptor nest is all around them, which they know means that there are raptors in the vicinity. So they have to gingerly, quietly make their escape.
And we find out the Kirby's are
Escaping, what's his
separated
name,
too,
Billy.
right?
Say what you said?
I said we also find out the Kirby's are separated too, right? Like we find out more lore.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
at this point they're making comments like, "Oh, if you hadn't done that in '94 or whatever," they say things that divorced people or separated people would say to each other. I don't remember the line, but we figure out that they're no longer together. It's another real interesting element to it all. But as they're quietly and delicately making their way out of the nest zone, our good friend Billy decides to snatch a couple of these eggs. He does this without others being known to it, but he snatches a couple eggs and puts them in his lucky satchel, and then they're on their way, which, again, a little more foreshadowing. We can't escape the raptors, so why not add another little plot device in there to make them truly omniscient in our brains at all times? So yeah, steals raptor eggs, and yeah, I'm not sure what
which we don't know he stole them. It's alluded to that he stole them, but we don't know for sure that he stole them. You can kind of, because there's a point where Alan Grant's like, "Where did Billy go?" And he looks around, and Billy comes out from around the corner, zipping up his like cooler, and you can kind of guess at that point he stole the eggs. But they find this like building, this like central building, which is where all the research happened, right, guys? And
yeah, it was the old abandoned research warehouse or research lab that Engine had, years ago. And it's fully abandoned, and there's nothing there except they've got like tanks of old like embryos and
for whatever
machines.
reasons, the Kirby's also keep trying to pick up the phones. Idiots.
Yeah.
And then at one point he's like pulling out change to try to get in the vending machine. And then Billy just kicks the glass from the vending machine and just takes everything. And I'm like,
even like a rear kick or something, he fucks that thing up. And then the other guy, or he
broke that glass immediately.
Tries it.
Yeah, he just ricochets off essentially. Yeah,
hurts his leg. So I don't. It's hard for me to sit there and say that these two are going to survive. I don't even care who they have with them, and they're down to one mercenary, Alan Grant and Billy, and they travel through the research facility, and they're kind of looking at everything. And Alan Grant uses "This is what happens when you play God" quote, which is used in several films, and it's always a powerful quote. And at one point, they run into a raptor that starts chasing them around this research.
I like this little scene. So I talked about how there were tanks of like embryos and baby dinosaurs that had seemingly died or were no longer living in any extent. And it was Mrs. Kirby who was walking along, taking in a look at these. And then the last one, you see what seems to be like alive, or not a live raptor, but a raptor in one of these tanks that's unconscious, and it looks very real. Like this thing hadn't withered away or perished yet. And then at the very last second, it kind of zooms into its eye and it looks. And at this point, Mrs. Kirby screams, and it turns out it wasn't a raptor in the tank, but it was a raptor behind the tank. We were looking for the glass. And that's when we get our surprise raptor attack. We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming.
A really good bit. That was a really good bit that they did in that. And it was very scary.
And
scary. Good elements of horror.
Very good jump scare.
It was a trap. And we'll see more of that. But they escape the research facility from the raptor. And what happens next, Kyle?
So they get chased around the facility by this raptor. And they get pinned into a room with it, but they use the door in such a way to fight against it. And I want everybody to know, it took two of them to hold back one raptor, and it was still winning. They just won because they had better leverage. and they locked the velociraptor, like they locked the gate kind of like into the other like corrugated fence. So like the lock goes through the corrugated fence and it can't move. So you're like, oh, it's stuck. Cool. And they're kind of like, yeah, we did it. And then they look at the velociraptor and it looks back up at the ceiling and there's like a hole at the top, obviously from the top of the ceiling to where the door is. And it's like, oh, I'm just gonna fucking jump through there. And they're like, oh shit. So they start getting out, but when it gets caught in there, it starts crying and going like Andrew, do the sound. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the sound.
It was a screeching sound. I'm not even going to try to do it. It
sounded like a big bird.
Shrill. Yeah. It was very much like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. It's going to sound absolutely stupid. But at this juncture, clearly this cry, this call is different than its casual roar or call outs. And I think Dr. Grant automatically knows it's communicating. It's calling out to its other raptors. It's a cry for help, but it's also letting the others know, hey, I'm in danger and I'm being surrounded by other predators. Come get me and let's take these fuckers out.
Right.
That's essentially what was happening there. They get out of the building, but then as soon as they get out and down the path a bit, they get surrounded by 6 or 7 more, correct?
Right. And they get all separated.
Yeah.
From the group, and then this is when the main crux of the group, which is Billy and the Kirby's and Airbud's dad, are running one direction, and Alan Grant gets separated off to another direction, and it's a good chase scene with the raptors, and they're kind of cornering them, and at one point they're able to kill the last standing mercenary while the Kirby's and Bill... Airbud's dad, R.I.P. A real piece of shit, honestly. So as the Kirby's and Billy climb a tree to get away from the raptors, they don't really kill him, they maim him. And then when he starts moving, they try to go down and help him, and then the raptors come out of nowhere, so they're setting a trap. But Billy recognizes it and pulls them all back. So they're in a tree now, waiting for the raptors. The raptors somehow get another call from another raptor. I guess they had another emergency meeting to go to. Mm-hmm. So the raptors all take off, and they snap Airbud's dad's neck. And they're chasing after Alan Grant, too. And they corner him at one point. You see all this smoke come into the screen. And then we get the kid. We get, what's his name? Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Eric has used tear gas. Or smoke grenades. I can't remember what he said.
They call them smoke grenades.
Yeah,
or gas grenades.
To defuse the raptors, or like at least like blind them a little bit, and he's able to carry Alan Grant to a tipped over engine truck, and it's just full of supplies.
It's like a big half deuce or something. It's like a giant like military transport truck.
And it's just, and it looks like it's just been transporting supplies and just tipped over. So it's tipped over, and he's been living in that. And he finds out, Alan Grant finds out he's been alive for 8 weeks.
Really impressive.
Really impressive for
bullshit at all.
2 months.
2 months, this kid has survived on this island in Costa Rica with dinosaurs. And at one point, the kid's just very savvy, I guess, because at one point he's like, what's this? And he's like, that's T-Rex pee. And he's like, how'd you get T-Rex pee? And he's like, you don't want to know. And I was like, this kid is not, this kid was screaming bloody murder on the parasail. He is not going to get 3 feet from a T-Rex to collect its piss so he can ward off other predators. It's just not going to work. Like, I don't believe an instance of this kid surviving.
Maybe he found that T-Rex pee in the little van or the bus. Maybe he didn't collect it himself.
He said he did. He was like, how did you get this? And he's like, you don't want to know.
Oh.
And so he's alluding to the fact that he went out and got it. I don't believe any...
I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. That is absolute bullshit. Never mind.
This plot point is bullshit from the word go.
There have been quite a few plot points thus far. I just want to point that out. There have been at least 3 or 4 things that have really made you scratch the chin and tilt the head and squint your eyes.
I think this is the biggest one. I think this is the biggest one. I think we all 3 can agree that this 10-year-old is not going to be alive 8 weeks into this journey.
It's big. It's big, but the plane not exploding is big. And Dr. Grant being swindled by a fake check might even be the most egregious. If we're being honest, that might be the most egregious because he's not a fucking idiot. So why would he do idiotic things like that? Yeah, it's one after the other of what the fuck moments. Yeah. So I just want you all to keep a running tab here. It's important. It's important for our final discussion.
Yeah, I'm keeping track, but just to speed it along here because we're already behind on this. Alan and Eric now go off to try to reconvene with the group, and they find the group at the other end of this research facility in this grassy area with a big fence, and they're on the other side of the fence with each other. They kind of have like a little bit of an embrace, and then we see the Spinosaurus. And it chases Alan and the kid around. They're able to get through the fence, and they're all running away. And then we get the full embrace of the kid.
What gave away the Spinosaurus, though? There was something that happened that caused Eric to just
good
run
callback.
off like a madman.
The satellite phone that's in his belly from Mr. Idiot.
Yep. Remember,
and they thought, same tone, we know it well. But Eric assumed that this was just his dad close to him, and so he was running towards the sound. But it just happened to be that his dad was there, and the Spinosaurus also happened to be in the vicinity, and that's what led to the chase.
I do love, too, when we talk about the jingle from the tile store, I do love that William H. Macy at one point said, "Look, guys, I'll make it up to you. If you ever need a bathroom fixture or bathroom renovation, I got you." And so,
cool.
I wrote in my notes, it's like these mercenaries and Alan Grant. He swindled Remember, he swindled more than just Alan Grant. All these people are doing this for bathroom fixtures. I just want that to be known.
Yeah, he committed kidnapping essentially and manslaughter, attempted manslaughter. I don't know. There would be some sort of other crime that'd be thrown on there with kidnapping, but yeah, some bathroom renovations will make up for that.
Yeah, for
really
sure.
Well.
Andrew, you need some bathroom renovations right now. Do you need music lessons?
Yeah, I do. I've heard there's a place in Atlanta called
Soundspace. ATL.com. Yeah. That's where you can find your next music lesson, Andrew. Just letting you know. Thank you, Soundspace, and Nick over there at Soundspace and SoundspaceAtlanta.com.
Yes, thank you.
You want to say thank you again?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my God. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
You Soundspace Atlanta. Yes.
So good point, Andrew, about the satellite phone, because that comes up again. But the satellite phone's nestled in this dinosaur's colon, which won't be there for long. But they end up maneuvering through this other facility, and they're this is when Alan finds out that Billy took the raptor eggs, and that's what the raptors are after.
Yeah.
And he goes to throw the eggs into, it looks like it's on this like hill waterfall. He's going to throw it down this like huge mountain into the river below, and he decides against it because he's like, the raptors are after these eggs. And there's a good dialogue scattered throughout this movie. Mm-hmm. It's not prevalent all the time, but there's still some good points. And this is a good scene where Miss Kirby goes, what if they find us with the eggs? And he's like, what if they find us without the eggs?
What if they find us without the eggs?
Yeah, so it's like, and I was like, ooh, that's good. Kind of cold. Like Sam Neill does a really good job. And he's also a good horror actor, everybody. Possession.
Event Horizon is great.
Event Horizon's
a great one.
In the Mouth of Madness. Those three horror films.
Oh yeah,
great! Like, oh my God, please! I mean, Sam Neill is very good at delivering those lines and making you feel cold and isolated, and he does it well here. But he decides to keep the eggs, and he insults Billy by saying, "You're no better than the people that run this place or built this place."
Yep.
And Billy takes it pretty hard. You can tell he's like really dejected.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not?
It's your mentor.
He did genuinely think at the beginning that he was like, this will be good. And he's like, actually, no, shit, it's not. But he knew the same thing. He's like, well, I can't get rid of him now.
Yeah, you can't get rid of them now and the raptors are chasing them. So they're trying to find their way to the coast still, which is a good plan. And they're kind of going through this like, how would you describe this scene, Andrew? They're going through these it looks like just elevated catwalks, I guess, is the best way.
Yeah, they're kind of stairs that are like hugging these cliffs. Again, this is
the
it's
fog's
misty.
back.
It's yeah, keep that in mind. It's misty. There's a lot of fog, so it's very mysterious and very. What is about to happen? We know that something's going to happen. Like that sense is palpable, but they're kind of just climbing through this. It's a means to an end, point A to point B to point C. We're probably at point like L at this point, but they're just kind of climbing through, and there's staircases and bridges. And if you look down, I believe there's water and there's rocks, and it feels enclosed. It feels enclosed, and like I said, the mystery of the fog adds another element. And sure enough, I believe we get to a point where they have to cross this bridge to get to the other side, but you can't see what's on the other side. So I believe Mr. Kirby goes first, and then Eric goes, and the mom is like, Eric, I don't want to leave you. And he says something like, Mom, I've been here for 8.5 weeks or 8 weeks. With all due respect, I'll be fine. And this is when he walks across, and I think at this point, what is it that comes out of the blue, Kyle? What comes down and snatches him from the air?
It's a fucking. Is it a pterodon or a pterodactyl?
It's a pteranodon. It's a pteranodon.
Yeah,
it's a big boy.
Terrifying. Yeah, it's a terrifying, like freaking 6 to 7 foot tall when it's standing, like
probably 25 foot wingspan.
Something big. It's large.
Yeah.
And it's got a sharp pointy beak. And it's there to fuck you up.
Yeah. Fun little fact. Everyone thinks that flying birds and dinosaur times are pterodactyls. But the reason people think that is because the pterodactyl was the first bird creature discovered. There were many other types of birds, including the pteranodon, which was like 3 or 4 times bigger than the pterodactyl and a lot more vicious, which is unfortunately what our crew runs into here. And it takes little Eric off. He survived 8 weeks, gets reunited with his family, only to be pulled up into the misty unknown by a fucking pteranodon. Screaming, they're all screaming. At this point, what are we gonna do? Chase, what happens next? What's the ensuing action here?
So this is bullshit number 4, I think we're at. So as they're running. Alan Grant looks up. He's like, "Oh, we're in a fucking bird cage." I think he starts to see some of the fog move. So he sees a giant cage. He's like, "Oh, we're in a bird cage." Very cool scene up to this point. I love this. I think it's great. It's great suspense. And now you're trapped in a bird cage with predators. And so as he's flying off with Eric, and this is a huge bird cage, by the way.
Massive.
Absolutely massive. It's like the dome from that Stephen King show / book. So
it's got to be at least a quarter mile.
It would engulf this Florence, Alabama, my hometown. I think the way that this cage is built. So
don't be hyperbolic.
So
it's not a good look.
Flying away. He's flying away, and they're chasing after the bird and trying to get to him. And obviously, they're having to maneuver through this, like all the catwalks and stuff, and they're falling apart. And at one point, Billy looks at Grant, and Grant goes, "Billy, don't!" And Billy just clips in and uses the parasail that they gathered from the tree.
Yep.
This parasail had holes and shit all in it when they pulled it down and kept it.
Did it? I thought it was pretty well preserved, and that's why you
it was pretty well preserved.
When it was first hanging from the tree that they pulled it down, I noticed because it's when they're passing through, and you look at it and it's ripped and hanging over some branches, and it's ripping through some of the branches. There is no way in hell that you go through and like fall from a parasail, lose all the altitude with it. It goes through all these branches and kills the dude in it, and it's going to be preserved like that.
Well, it was a continuity error then, because literally Billy took it off and folded it up and made the comment of, "Wow, this is in really good condition.
Yes.
You might not know when it comes in handy."
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, continuity here.
So it's and then it's even better when he uses it this time. It's not even that dirty or whatever. Like, not that it's been sitting there for 8 weeks in the environments and to, oh my God. So he's able to pull it and he goes after Eric. So he's able to catch up at some point. Eric is being dropped off at the nest, the bird nest, so he can be eaten by the little ones.
Which is kind of a terrifying. Yeah, that's really terrifying.
This scared me
really bad as a kid. That was one of the things that scared me the worst. Was like, oh, they're gonna just eat him.
Yes, and they're doing a good
Alive.
job.
Oh, okay.
And these little baby birds are not small. You know, they're about waist high to Eric, and some of them are about close to his size. They're huge, and this was terrifying. Great little moment, like here. It's like, oh, you're going to be eaten alive by the young, which is exactly what would happen in this world. So, like, very kudos there. Like I said, a good scene to bring us back in, but Billy's like circling with the parasail, not losing altitude, which is not how that works. And he's able to get close enough to the nest for Eric to jump on him, and they're able to kind of fly off to a certain extent. And what do we call the birds? They're chasing them, and eventually Eric has to jump in the water, and Billy gets trapped against the cliffs. And at some point, Billy comes down off the cliffs, and you see his body kind of hit the water, and you see all the birds coming after him. But that gives them.
They're all kind of swooping down and getting cuts on them like blue jays.
Right, and
like
so
really just cutting blows.
We're like, oh, Billy's done. There's no way he's surviving that. Which again, yes, no way you're surviving that. But it gives them enough time to get away. So while they're all preoccupied with Billy, the rest of them escape. Shut the door on the cage. Right, Andrew?
Shut the door. Don't leave it open. Don't leave that door open. Make sure the latch is pulled down tight.
Don't pull the latch down all the way, right? That's the first rule you've been told. So, they leave the bird cage open, basically, and now we're left with Alan Grant, the Kirbys, and Eric. That's the remaining 4 here. And they find a boat, and they're going to ride it all up to the coast. So, and the boat still has gas in it. It still works. They're able to get it started. And as they're going through, we get a rainstorm because, of course, it is Costa Rica. So it is Costa Rica. It's the rainforest. It makes sense. As they're riding this boat, it's raining. What do they hear, Andrew? We've gotten accustomed to it.
They hear the little ringtone again. They hear it. They're like, "What? Where?" There you go. That's it.
It's so annoying in this movie.
And it's not in the intestine of the Spinosaurus anymore, but it's sitting on the shore in what a pile of shit, you say? They're bringing back the phone and the poop again?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
You sent that text, and I was like, good callback, Andrew. Like they just basically took a scene from the first movie where Ellie has her hand in the triceratops shit to figure out how sick it is.
Yep.
And I still love that quote from Malcolm, though. That's a real big pile of shit.
Big pile of shit.
It's just like it becomes a meme now. I don't know if everybody's seen the meme on stuff like that, but like Clemson football last year, somebody put the Clemson logo over the shit, so it was just like that's one big pile of shit.
Oh, poor Dabo.
So now they're
Mr. Sweeney.
They're reaching into the shit to find the phone, and eventually they find the phone, and Kirby looks at Alan and says, "You have enough juice for one call." And as he's about to make that call, what happens, Kyle?
This is when we get attacked by. This is like the final scene with the Spinosaurus.
Yep.
Like, This is like the big lockout, drag out fight between the humans and the Spinosaurus, and this Spinosaurus fucks their little patrol boat up. Long story short, like it just like it gets like they have to get out of it. Dr. Grant
rips the cage entrapment off that boat and drags them in the water, which is like terrifying to think about. You're in this entrapment. It's almost like a mini cage, and you're pulled down into unknown waters by an animal that's like 55 feet. I mean, that is, I know, trapped water, being in dark water is terrifying enough when you add the element that they're being pulled into it by some fucking monster. It's pretty scary. It's pretty scary, invigorating to say the least. But Kyle, what just finish this scene up for us. Cap it off.
So the husband, William H. Macy, gets up to a high point with, is it a flare or fire?
It's a flare. It's a flare gun.
Yeah. It's just a flare gun. He has a flare gun. He found it in the boat. And so he gets up on a high, like I think it's like a crane, because they've kind of come up to like a little port. And I believe there's a crane overhead, and he gets on that and is like shooting at the dinosaur to distract them so they can escape. The Spinosaurus knocks him off. Is that what happens?
Yes, it's kind of like something in the chaos. He gets knocked off.
And then they think he's dead. Or the Spinosaurus gets chased off because of the fire. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen. I know we've been talking a lot about, like, you know, it's hard to believe this, that. And, like, I do agree that, like, all of these things together, like, no.
I'm just talking about the William H. Macy character that they've established, because at one point he couldn't swim like 4 weeks ago. He'd been swimming at the Y and just learned to swim. And so, like, they make him out to be such a loser that any type of, like, massive heroic event, it's hard to believe he survives. William H. Macy can survive anything, though.
I don't know. I think any of these, like, I don't. It's just all of them together that I'm like, hey, not all of this. The stars would line up for this, especially with the unknown of a fucking man-made dinosaur, which is not a dinosaur. But they think he's dead. They get to his body, and then he stirs. Everybody's relieving. He says something like cute to his family. When the Spinosaurus is attacking them, Alan Grant he does in fact get a call off, though. Who does he call?
Doesn't he call Ellie?
He does.
Yeah.
But he only gets off like a couple words. But as he gets that tiny call off, as he gets that tiny call off, you know, we kind of forget about that. So we get to the next part, and they're like making their way to the beach, because that's how they're going to signal for help. And they can, oh my gosh, they can hear the beach. And as soon as they hear the beach, Alan Grant's like, it's this way. And they get caught off by the pack of velociraptors. And it's like, it's not looking good. Like, they're surrounded completely. They haven't attacked, but they're kind of like, Grant's like, oh shit, I know what they want. He was like, everybody get behind me. And he throws himself to the ground and gets the
eggs.
The eggs. And he gets them, he pushes them in the sand towards the velociraptors. And they essentially kind of look at him, take the eggs and leave. And then because they hear something in the background.
It's because he's.
And I'm going to come back to this in a second.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll come back to that in a second. But like, there is like a helicopter or something that they hear, and they run to the beach. And it turns out that it's like they're like, no, like somebody has a megaphone, and they're like, Dr. Grant, and they're like, don't. Everybody, and the mother and father go, that's a very bad idea, and unison. And all of a sudden, a whole company of amphibious vehicles and military personnel pop up out of the water, and they're on the land. And it's like, you know, Ellie called the whole, like, the Navy and the Marines. Like, she called everybody. Now, the reason why I think they're velociraptors, and I know they wrote this really, like, quickly. I get it. But when I was a kid, this is how I rationalized it, because I was like, oh shit, like the velociraptors heard the helicopters, and they didn't want any business with that. So they were like, okay, we'll leave. I think if they weren't there at that time, they would have fucking murdered them and ate them. No issue whatsoever once they got the eggs.
Well,
because
Alan Grant used the thing that Billy printed off, and he used it,
to communicate with them.
With them, which was weird because I don't think he would be able to know how to use that thing to practically communicate with them. Because at one point he just blows into it, and the raptors look like they're about to murder him. And then William H. Macy makes a comedic line that's unintentionally comedic because he goes, "No, call for help." And it's like he's gonna know how to do that. And then and then that's, I guess, like that combined with the helicopter coming through helped it out. But I agree with you, Kyle. I do kind of think it's just a combination of both.
Yeah, I think they could have been easily killed, and like no qualms about it, but just the circumstances weren't right, and they really lucked out. But I mean, to have that much military personnel there, like they would have actually fucked a couple of those dinosaurs up for sure.
Yeah,
I could have fucked them the fuck up.
And you pretty much got the ending because then they're just escorted off the island, and as they're flying away, they see the birds from the cage that they left open is now they're looking to migrate, and that's when Miss Kirby's like, as long as it's not in Oklahoma, and I'm like, ugh.
See, but that is interesting because I believe those like pterodons were more closely related to reptiles than they were like avian dinosaurs, and probably might not have displayed the same kind of characteristics as modern birds when it comes to migration and stuff like that, based off of where they were. But I don't know enough about it, but I don't know if they would share that. But either way, it's a cool shot.
Yeah, it's a great shot, and they actually, like, it gives you an idea for a sequel without having to just beat you over the head with it. And then on top of that, they do give a good fact because they're like, oh, they can fly up to like 500 miles in one go. So they were like, they can migrate anywhere, and that's just when I was like, I hated the Kirby line. I was just like, because I think you would be in a little bit more fear of like these things are now migrating, so they're getting off the island now. We should probably check that. But I want to go back to one of my biggest things is like, how is she able to call the Marines and the Navy to come save them? Like, and how much taxpayer money was spent on that one rescue. I just don't understand how much clout she has to make that call. I know that this is not probably, if they sat down and thought about the ending longer than a day, we probably would have gotten something better and different. This was just kind of abrupt, and it didn't make any sense. Like
it was almost as if they wrote the script as they went along with the film.
It is almost like they didn't know what they were doing.
And did we mention that Billy survived? I apologize if
yes. Again,
we did not.
Yeah, Billy lived.
He's on the plane when they get on the helicopter, so Billy lived.
He's on the fucking plane.
Remember what he says to Alan Grant?
What does he say? I don't remember the line.
But he's like, "I got your head."
Oh, that's right.
You were getting eaten alive and drowning at the same time. You're not holding on to that hat.
No fucking way. Hey, but at least I will say, at least this movie didn't end in San Diego. You know?
There you go, Andrew. I know you hate San Diego. I'm sorry.
It was more of a shit on the Lost World, if I'm being honest. I've never been to San Diego. I can't say one way or the other.
No, but you mean,
at least the movie.
You've talked about it a lot of times with me. Like, you and I have talked about how much you hate San Diego.
Sure.
A lot.
Yeah.
You bring it up frequently.
Yeah, it's a passion of mine, I guess. But yeah, don't like it when movies end in that city either. And this one didn't, so I thank the Lord for that. But
let's start with you, Andrew. We started with you at the beginning. Let's start with you again. What do you think about this movie now as an adult? Like I said, we all seen it a million times as kids and loved it. What do you think now with an adult lens?
I think my stupid little kid brain didn't think logically and just took what was given to me and ran with it. And that's okay, because that's what you should do with this movie. There's a lot to it that is very entertaining and scary. To me, it was like they tried to take a snippet of the first movie, sprinkle it with a few elements from the second, and give you a nice little tiny gift basket in honor of both, but mainly the first. It was like we talked about. There's many plot holes and BS moments. I think there were like 5 or 6 by the end, maybe 7, which can take one out. And I'll be honest though, as I was watching this, there were multiple times I said BS, and there might have been like a negative tone throughout our little blow by blow through many moments, but I was still entertained. Like the moments in the birdcage or the chases with Spinosaurus or moments with the raptors, like that was still compelling. Like it was really compelling. When you sit back and think about how we got from point A to point B to point C and so on, it does make you a little angry because it feels like it was cheaply and quickly written. But if you want to watch a movie that has great thrill moments surrounding dinosaurs and prehistoric animals, that's wrapped up with some sort of emotional connection and other characters that you seem to care about, this movie's for you. Like I said, it was still entertaining. And those moments of terror and horror, even that I described before, really sell it all. And I do think it sells it fairly well to the point where you can excuse some of the shit we've talked about. I'm still a little torn about how I truly feel, but it wasn't a wasted watch by any means. I enjoyed it. I still think it's entertaining. It's almost like this movie. It feels like a guilty pleasure. That's what it is. It feels like a guilty pleasure. There's some real stupidity with it, but boy, are you suckered in, and you are suckered in, and you enjoy what you're watching. So yeah, I think to sum it all up, this movie is a guilty pleasure for me, and it was that way on the rewatch.
Okay, Kyle, what'd you think now as an adult?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what Andrew said. This is there was a couple moments even as a kid, I was like, how the fuck did she do that? Getting them called in there like that at the end, right?
Yeah,
weird.
Like they almost wrote it on the day that it happened.
I don't know. Yeah, but like I just have a hard time hating this movie or parts of it, even the parts that make you go like, what the fuck? It's almost like if I think hard enough about it, I can get there. I'm just gonna watch the fucking movie though because this part's coming up and it's good. And I thought it was shot well. It hits the horror aspect of it. I like the color palette a lot. And like Andrew said, it takes like a little snippet, like a little vignette from like the first movie or the first book, and it gives it its own life.
And I also will say think of that fact because I was planning on saying it and I totally forgot. But you talk about taking snippets of the first movie, like to the point of what Andrew was saying is taking snippets. Is they took a snippet from the first book and did the whole birdcage scene here, which we hadn't seen in the other Jurassic Park. So, but sorry, Kyle, continue.
No, that was all chased.
I'm going to be the detractor this week, and it pains me. And this is also the shortest Jurassic Park in the entire series. I know we're not talking about the Jurassic World series that started after this, but this is an hour and 32 minutes. Andrew knows I struggle with longer movies because I text him about that all the time, but this is one that I just don't think a Jurassic Park should be an hour and 32 minutes. I think it's one of those movies that you can get 2 hours out of this and flesh out a story. If we're talking about a series now instead of just one movie, we're talking about Lost World, we're talking about Jurassic Park 3, we're talking about the original Jurassic Park. Obviously, out of those 3, if I had to pick one, I'm going to watch the original Jurassic Park. But if we're talking about this or Lost World, I'm going to pick Lost World over this. I thought Lost World was far more entertaining as a movie. To me, they both have like a large set of qualms that I had to jump over, but I don't know. Maybe it's because this movie, again, finding out that it was kind of written as it went, because it feels like that. I don't know. It just like, none of it just worked, I felt like. It's just like, and it's not that the movie's bad. And guilty pleasure is a good point, Andrew and Kyle, but at the same time, if I'm going to watch a guilty pleasure, this isn't going to be it. I think The Lost World is a guilty pleasure for me, and I'd rather go watch that than see this Jurassic Park again. Sam Neill's great in it, as always. I think the horror elements, to Kyle's point, are really well done. It's just there's just not enough of that stuff to kind of save the plot and the misfires, and then just the abrupt ending. You're getting this final scene where they're cornered by these raptors, and it just ends, and then the military saves them. It doesn't make any sense, and it's just hard for me to kind of like see all that now. Like, Andrew, you made a good point with your kid brain. You turn all this off. You don't think about it. You don't think about the check. You don't think about the military being involved. You're just seeing cool dinosaurs eating people and people running away from them, and that's cool in all Jurassic Park movies. But I didn't really care for this that much. At least it was short. It wasn't the most offensive thing I've seen by any stretch of the imagination. I'd rather watch this than a lot of other movies we've seen, but I just didn't care for it. And then kept referring to The Lost World, and I was like, I think I'd rather watch The Lost World. But Andrew, starting with you, does it hold up?
So it's interesting. You mentioned the 90 minutes thing. I like that. I think if this movie was 2.5 hours, it wouldn't be sitting as favorably with me. So obviously, we like to watch things that we've seen as a kid or an adolescent. And truth be told, there's been many movies that we've watched that I had never seen. There's been quite a few that I've watched for the first time. And one thing that I have noticed, and it makes perfect sense when you think about it psychologically, for those movies that I haven't seen and I'm trying to give an honest feedback about how I feel about it, it doesn't get a bump. There's no nostalgia. There's no connection to it. So I will usually say it doesn't hold up. This one, if I hadn't seen it as a kid, and if I didn't have that emotional connection to it whatsoever, a first-time watch, I probably would say it doesn't hold up. There's too many plot holes and plot devices and cheap writing, and it's just too good to be true so far too often in this film. But I don't know. I still enjoyed the watch. Like I said, guilty pleasure. Guilty, but pleasure still wins out. I think it holds up. It's a barely, but I think it holds up. I don't know. I liked it more than The Lost World. At least I think I did. I don't remember even what I gave that rating, if I'm being honest, which is why we need to do an episode, Chase and Kyle, where we go back and review our picks and scores just to see how consistent we were. But anyways, yeah, I do think it holds up. I do. Ultimately, I do. But I do think that the nostalgia connection I have to it plays in its favor. And it's not a huge, outstanding yes in terms of it holding up. But I ultimately, end of the day, gun to head, yes. I think it holds up, and I'm okay with that.
Kyle, does it hold up?
Yes.
I am going to be the detractor and say it doesn't. Like I said,
oh, surprise! I didn't think that was coming. Wow.
I'll be honest with you guys. Like, thinking about this movie at the start, it feels weird to say it doesn't hold up because I almost for sure thought that this was going to be the underrated Jurassic Park movie, and now I'm starting to think it's The Lost World, in my opinion. And like Andrew, that's a good point. We need to go back and check that. I do think we all said it held up. I remember liking it way more.
I think we did too.
I think I liked it way more than I thought I was, and I thought I was going to like this one a lot more than I originally thought. So I went in thinking, hey, this was my favorite Jurassic Park as a kid. I thought it was a slam dunk. I'm going to say it holds up, but I just, after watching it, I just can't say that. But I'd rather watch this movie over any of the Jurassic Worlds, and I think all three of us are probably going to agree on that. Maybe not the original Jurassic World or the first one, but the other Jurassic Worlds have been an absolute disaster of a film to watch, and they're absolute garbage. But what would you give it on IMDb, Kyle?
I would give this one a 6.9. I would say.
Really high.
It's up there. It's not actually. No. I think that's what I gave The Lost World, and I do hold that one in a high regard. So this one, I would honestly, we're gonna say 6.
He said 6.9. We have to leave it as is. He picked 6.9.
No,
he
it's a 6.3.
He thinks it's 6.3, but he gave it a 6.9.
It's a 6.3.
You know, those are the rules. 6.9, but really a 6.3, but technically speaking, a 6.9. Cool. I'll give my score. I was gonna do 6.3 as well. But
Nice.
I'll stick with that. It was 6.3 to 6.4, but I'll stay on the lower end of that, 6.3. I think that's fair.
I'm gonna say 5.3. And
yeah, you should maybe fuck off. It's not that low. I
all,
think you were
all
very
of that
wrong.
is
I'm
Sam Neill and the horror elements and the practical effects. But what is it on? I'm sure I'm below
It's
balling
a
it.
6. It's an even 6.
Okay. All right. Good to know. That about wraps it up, guys. You know what we do here? We reach into your childhood nostalgia. We pull the movies from your past, your prehistoric past now, and found out that Jurassic Park 3 holds up 2-1. I say
Unless you're Chase.
Unless you're me. Maybe go check it for yourself. Watch it with The Lost World. Tell us which one you liked more. Andrew, what are we doing next week?
Are you familiar with the comedic actor Jim Carrey, Chase?
Never heard of him.
Kyle, you've heard of Jim Carrey, correct?
Isn't he the famous inventor of the dishwasher?
Wrong. He's an actor who was an actor whose peak was I would say his peak was in the 90s with his comedic movies, but career went on and on. But there is a movie that we all love or did love, and it is The Mask. It's a classic. It's a classic Jim Carrey film. We're going to be visiting that next week, and I, for one, am very excited because it's been so long since I've seen this, and I have no idea what to expect. But that's why we do this.
Highly requested movie. So that's right. We're doing Jim Carrey's The Mask next week, another 90s classic. So you can follow us on social media to find out what else is coming down the road. Go subscribe to our Patreon if you would like to have further content. But in the meantime, we will see you all next week right here for The Mask.